Northumbria was a land where the winds of ambition clashed with the tides of invasion, where loyalty and betrayal coexisted in a fragile dance. Amid this storm stood Uhtred the Bold, a warrior who shaped his time and whose choices echoed long after his death. His story is one of triumph, sacrifice, and the inner turmoil of a man torn between his ambitions and his duty. But how did he reclaim his legacy, and at what cost? Uhtred's upbringing in Bamburgh. Bamburgh Castle, perched high on the wind-swept cliffs of what is now Northumberland, was the heart of Uhtred's world. Born in 971 to Waltheof I, the ealdorman of Bamburgh, Uhtred entered a life of privilege tempered by responsibility. From the moment he could walk, he was immersed in the rhythms of castle life, a world defined by the clang of swords in the training yard, the hum of political intrigue in shadowed halls, and the constant roar of the sea below. The salty air carried with it a sense of urgency. Bamburgh's location made it both a symbol of strength and a target for enemies. For Uhtred, this fortress was more than home. It was a reminder that power could be as fleeting as the tide. Under his father's stern tutelage, Uhtred learned the art of war, how to wield a sword, command men, and think strategically on the battlefield. But Waltheof also insisted on the subtleties of leadership. Uhtred sat through long discussions about alliances, betrayals, and the delicate balance required to govern a land as volatile as Northumbria. His father often reminded him that bravery in battle was meaningless without the wisdom to navigate the shifting sands of politics. As a child, Uhtred witnessed firsthand the fragility of power. Raids along the coast, the ever-present threat of Viking incursions, and internal rivalries within England taught him early that survival required constant vigilance. Every victory came with a price, and every ally could become a rival. In the quiet moments atop Bamburgh's walls, Uhtred would gaze out at the endless expanse of the North Sea. What did he dream of in those moments? Did he imagine himself as a great warrior, his name spoken in awe across England? Or did he feel the weight of the expectations placed upon him, a fear that he might one day fail to protect the land and people entrusted to him? These formative experiences shaped Uhtred into the man he would become, bold and ambitious, yet tempered by an acute awareness of the precariousness of power. Bamburgh taught him resilience, but it also planted the seeds of the conflicts, both external and internal, that would define his life. The fall and retaking of Bamburgh Castle, perched atop the cliffs overlooking the North Sea, was both Uhtred's birthplace and the key to his power. The North Sea, a vast expanse of cold, choppy waters, had long been a highway for invaders. During Uhtred's time, it was the gateway for Viking longships, their dragon-headed prows cutting through the waves as they brought both trade and terror to England's shores. For Uhtred, this fortress was more than a stronghold. It was the symbol of his lineage, the heart of his authority, and a lifeline for Northumbria's survival. After the death of his father, Waltheof, Bamburgh fell into the hands of rivals. The political upheaval and Viking incursions of the time likely provided these rivals the opportunity to exploit any perceived weakness on Uhtred's part. The loss of Bamburgh was not merely a matter of land. It was a devastating blow to Uhtred's identity and legitimacy. Without Bamburgh, he was a lord without a seat, a leader without his symbolic heartland. Reclaiming Bamburgh became Uhtred's singular focus, and the campaign to retake it tested his resolve like never before. As he led his forces through the mist-shrouded hills of Northumbria, the weight of his family's legacy must have pressed heavily upon him. Did he feel the shadow of his father watching him, or the doubts of his own heart whispering of failure? The battle for Bamburgh, though absent from detailed historical accounts, must have been brutal. Picture the crash of siege weapons against the stone walls, the clash of swords ringing through the narrow corridors and the fiery glow of torches lighting the night as Uhtred and his men stormed the fortress. When the gates finally fell, Bamburgh was once again in Uhtred's hands. Standing atop its walls, gazing out over the North Sea, did he feel triumph or relief? Or was it the bitter realization that reclaiming power was only the beginning of his fight to keep it? A land divided, the rise of Wessex and Uhtred's challenges. Even as Uhtred consolidated his hold on Bamburgh, the political landscape of England was shifting. The kings of Wessex, led by figures like Alfred the Great and Ethelstan, were forging a unified kingdom. This southern consolidation posed a challenge to the autonomy of northern lords like Uhtred. For Uhtred, navigating these changes required both diplomacy and ruthlessness. His alliances with southern rulers were often uneasy, as the cultural and political divide between Northumbria and Wessex ran deep. At the same time, the Viking threat remained constant, with leaders like Sven Forkbeard and Cnut seeking to dominate England. Uhtred's position was precarious. He was a man caught between the rising power of Wessex, the unyielding ambition of the Danes, and the rivalries within his own region. Each decision he made, whether to align with one faction or betray another, was a gamble that could either secure his legacy or hasten his downfall. In AD 1006, Uhtred's defense of Durham against Malcolm II of Scotland became one of his most celebrated victories. The aftermath, however, revealed the ruthless side of his character. The display of the Scots' severed heads on Durham's walls was a grisly warning to his enemies. But how did Uhtred feel as he gazed upon the rows of lifeless faces? Did he see them as a testament to his strength, or as a reminder of the cost of power? The act ensured his reputation as the Bold, but it also painted him as a figure to be feared and mistrusted. This tension between his need to project strength and the moral weight of his actions defined much of Uhtred's life. In his quiet moments, did he question whether his victories were worth the cost? Or did he convince himself that such sacrifices were necessary for the greater good of Northumbria? Forkbeard's invasion and the return to Bamburgh. In 1013, Sven Forkbeard's invasion of England disrupted the fragile balance of power. The sight of Danish banners flying over Saxon towns must have been a grim omen for Uhtred. Recognizing the futility of resistance, he submitted to Forkbeard, hoping to protect his lands. When Forkbeard died unexpectedly in 1014, Uhtred seized the opportunity to realign himself with Edmund Ironside, the Saxon claimant to the throne. This decision marked another shift in his precarious political strategy. Uhtred returned to Bamburgh, determined to fortify his position, but the cost of his pragmatism was mounting. Each new allegiance eroded the trust of his allies. Uhtred's actions were driven by the need to survive, but they also left him isolated, a man respected for his strength, but mistrusted for his shifting loyalties. The betrayal and death of Uhtred. In 1016, Uhtred's political gambles caught up with him. Cnut, now consolidating his power as King of England, summoned Uhtred under the pretense of peace. The journey to meet Cnut was tense, the air heavy with unspoken dread. Did Uhtred sense the betrayal awaiting him? Or did he believe he could navigate one more precarious alliance? Upon his arrival, he was ambushed by Thorbrand the Bold, a rival whose hatred for Uhtred had festered over years of conflict. The attack was swift and brutal. The clang of swords gave way to the sickening thud of blades meeting flesh. Uhtred the Bold fell, not in the glory of battle, but in the shadows of treachery. The blood feud, a legacy of violence. Uhtred's murder ignited a blood feud that would consume generations. His son Ealdred avenged him by killing Thorbrand, But the cycle of vengeance did not end there. The feud became a dark thread in Northumbria's history, a testament to the enduring consequences of ambition and betrayal. What did this legacy mean to Uhtred's descendants? Did they see him as a hero whose memory demanded justice, or as a man whose actions cast a long shadow over their lives? The blood feud is a reminder that the choices of one generation can echo through centuries. Uhtred's role in history. Though Uhtred's life was marked by personal struggles and political maneuvering, his actions had a broader impact. His defense of Northumbria and his shifting alliances influenced the eventual unification of England under the kings of Wessex. His story is not just one of individual ambition, but of a region caught in the tides of history. A story retold, the lasting impact of Uhtred. Centuries later, Uhtred's story continues to captivate audiences, thanks in part to Bernard Cornwell's The Saxon Stories and its television adaptation, The Last Kingdom. The fictional Uhtred captures the spirit of the real man, but diverges in significant ways. The show's hero is a romanticized figure, his struggles simplified to fit the narrative. What does this say about how we remember history? Do we prefer our heroes to be free of moral ambiguity? Or is there value in embracing the complexity of figures like Uhtred? Reflections and modern parallels. Uhtred's story is deeply human, a tale of ambition, loyalty, and the cost of power. His struggles resonate even today, in a world where personal ambition often clashes with responsibility. What lessons can we draw from his life? How do we balance the pursuit of our goals with the need to preserve our integrity? What do you think? Is Uhtred's legacy one of triumph or tragedy? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you found his story as compelling as we did, please like this video, subscribe to War and Wisdom in History, and hit the notification bell to explore more tales of courage, conflict, and legacy. Stay curious, seek wisdom, and we'll see you in the next chapter of history.